here's the reality. All of us care about people that are sick and are in pain. No question. And what this is, it's the nose under the tent. They try to use something that we all will feel sympathetic about and we all believe ought to be addressed, and that's pain and suffering of people that are either in terminal or just in chronic pain. We all agree with that. But that is not the point of this initiative. The point of this, and most of the backers will quietly say in private rooms, is to legalize drugs, ultimately, across the board. And this is one way to get the public to say, oh yeah, we agree with helping people who are sick. So do we. So does the medical community, as Judge Schutte just said. But right now, you can have pharmacologically made and prescribed components of marijuana that physicians can prescribe today. But they don't prescribe it very much because it's not one of the most effective tools to deal with hunger, or excuse me, with the lack of appetite or with pain. They prescribe other things. But it is available to them today, and you don't get all the negative side effects that come with smoking. First, the point of this is that there will be unintended consequences. It will flow down and end up on the streets. They've seen it in other states. You know, do we want a vending machine selling drugs in our community? In one of the communities in California, they have more pot shots than they do coffee shops now. I mean, that has been an outgrowth of this kind of activity in other states. This is not something Michigan needs nor wants. There will be more crime. It's been documented in other states. There will be more kids that try drugs because of the availability. And marijuana is not the marijuana of your generation or your parents' generation. The current marijuana is 100 times more potent than the generations in 1970 and 1980. 100 times more potent, because of the different ways they grow it and the way they do the hydroponics. The THC content's way higher. So you're going to have a stronger drug, much more available on the streets, that go to kids. And as the person that runs the jail in this community, two factors end up in my jail: drug use or lack of education. So we will be multiplying the amount of lives destroyed and people in jail if we say yes to a very bad proposal.
One thing we want to make clear, when you leave here, we are not against people that are ill or in pain not receiving proper medical attention. That is not the purpose of us being here. But we are deeply concerned about a law that you will have an opportunity to vote on being misused. Now, I won't call the name. We got a state right now that has good intentions for people with children that maybe they could not afford or want or could care for. And look at the results. You got people turning over 18-year, 17-year-old, 14-year-old, 13-year-old, and the law had good intentions. This is another law that's going to have good intentions, but I think it's going to backfire on us. This law will allow things to transpire that I don't think the public is really aware of. Are you aware that you can smoke marijuana in an area that says no smoking if you got a particular medical reason for it? Do you realize that you can get high or be impacted by secondhand smoke? We keep talking about that. If you are on the job and your job causes you to have some type of pain, you might be able to smoke marijuana on the job. I don't think I want a person putting my car together to smoke marijuana. Houston, we got a problem. And we need to deal with that problem. And deal with it realistically, but not open up a door that we don't want to open up like the law in that particular state. I don't like to point the fingers, but it backfired on us. Let's not let that happen here in the state of Michigan. Let's not let this happen to you, your children, or your workplace. Read this law and read this law carefully. Because when I first started talking about Proposal 1, people said, what? Proposal what? I said, you know you're going to walk in a booth and vote for something and you have no idea what you are voting for. I've seen laws passed like that. We need to be careful with this and read the law and read it carefully and look at the ramifications. It's not about a particular person, a race of people, a socioeconomic class. It's about people in general. We don't want this to happen in the state of Michigan. We're going to need your help. We're going to need your support. Now, I don't want to take away people's thunder, but there's also research that will support. Like people say, well, how about booze? How about alcohol? There's more research to support that marijuana has the tendency to lead to other drugs, other harder drugs. Those researchers and those reports don't support that when it comes down to alcohol. So we can't correlate this. let's not do like some other people, point at somebody else when something bad is coming, where I say, well, it's not as bad as that. This bad thing is still coming. Proposal 1 is still coming, and it's a bad thing. We must stop it. And you can stop it as a people. You can stop it in November. Concentrate on more than the presidency. There's more out there that can hurt you than what's going to happen in Washington. It could happen right here in your own state. We must defeat Proposal 1. Thank you for listening to me.
The ballot language, if any of you had an opportunity to review it, is vague, presents loopholes, and quite frankly has very dangerous consequences to the citizens of Michigan and our children. Since the legislation has passed in California, law enforcement, and this is fact, in that state have seen a dramatic increase in marijuana use amongst high school students. Proposal 1 will also allow anyone to argue as a defense in a criminal case the use of marijuana. I'll say that again. If you are charged under the influence of marijuana, you can go to a court of law and argue to a judge that I had a medicinal use and purpose as a defense to the charge. Now, why is that important? The bill also does not mandate or prescribe what level of driving under the influence is. As many of you maybe recall, years and years ago, the very tragic Red Wing incident where Richard United drove and had the presence of marijuana in his system. Similarly situated drivers, if Proposal 1 passed, could go to court and say I had a legitimate medicinal reason to do it, and go to court and argue as a defense to injuring or perhaps killing people. And if we can't go to court and argue to judges and juries that this is against the law, think of the impact on our roads in the state of Michigan. This has very unintended consequences that the Chief and Sheriff Bouchard have dictated, but it provides no regulation, no medical scrutiny, and no protections for our citizens. Proposal 1 is simply bad medicine.